Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to another StarCraft video. Now today it is time for another best of 3 series of professional Zerg versus Protoss. And you know what, I'm pretty sure I've only featured the Protoss player here a single time on this YouTube channel so far. So it's about time to change that, because there's no denying that this man loves to play the really aggressive, the really cheesy Protoss playstyle. Love it or hate it, I'm curious to see how he's gonna face off against this Zerg. But regardless, spawning here in the bottom right hand corner of Parasite LE, and already building that fort right over there. We are currently looking inside of the main base of the 16-year-old Croatian pro who goes by the name of Goblin. Already sending out that probe, it's gonna put down a pylon, the cannon rush is underway. His opponent, one of the greatest Zerg players alive, we have none other than Elazer. Elazer, of course, being from Europe. I always put him right below the level of several. He's extremely good at what he does. I think he's probably like, I guess he's like the 3rd highest ranked Zerg player in Europe right now, or outside of South Korea. Man, this is so dirty already, right? If you can't touch the photon cannon, it's always gonna go up, right? And then, obviously, the expansion will go down as well. Now, Elazer did decide to send a drone to the other side of the map. It does look like it will arrive here before a Nexus can be planted down. And we have a cannon rush versus a proxy hatchery here in game number 1. Let's see how this one is gonna play out, because obviously these kind of games, man, I love casting them. They get absolutely ridiculous really fast. I know a lot of you absolutely hate watching this kind of Protoss playstyle. I personally love it. Like, I know a lot of you have a love-hate relationship with this kind of playstyle, but man, is it dirty. What makes Goblin so scary is that he's actually also good at playing macro. That's like the really difficult part about his play. He can play a macro game, and he can, you know, just simply get a small advantage in the early game with this kind of stuff and then just follow it up with macro. Also, because he loves playing these kind of games all the time, he's been in this kind of scenario, you know, many more times than Elazer has been, right? Like, Elazer, he's gonna go over to Proxy Hatchery. He is getting himself that really quick Roach Warren up as well, but Goblin, he already knows exactly how to respond to this. Now, obviously, I'm not sure if this is the correct response. Curious to see, yeah, indeed, when he's gonna put down that base defense. So the Photon Cannon will come up. Cybercore is now done, so that does mean he can also start up some of the shieldy boys. A single Zealot, though, apparently did wander towards the high ground there. Looks like the Roach Warren was already spotted, so Goblin knows exactly what it is that he is going up against. The Stalker now coming up, as well as a shield battery, and now also that robotics facility in his opponent's natural. At the same time, though, Elazer, I mean, he can try and deal a little bit of damage. You did see that the Photon Cannon was being built there on the high ground. I guess this hatchery is mostly just there to prevent his opponent from expanding. So that does mean that Goblin is going to be the one who's got all of the action. Couple of Ravagers are out right now. Now, Ravagers are excellent when it comes to using their corrosive biles and just straight up their range to shoot down a bunch of these Protoss units and structures as well. There we go. Already that pylon is going to start taking a little bit of damage. Obviously, Goblin can choose to repair those shields once again here as well. But when the real pressure starts, right, when the Immortals are out and the War Prism is here, that's when this Protoss army becomes scary. Goblin is likely going to follow this up, there we go, with a Prism. So as soon as those 2 units are out, he's going to be able to drop and just simply deal a tremendous amount of damage here with the couple of units that he's got, as long as his micro is on point. Now, this is a complete all-in, obviously, by Protoss. I mean, look at the amount of shield batteries he's committing to this as well. Once this shield battery actually finishes, he can just, like, walk up the ramp quite easily, too, right? And not really take any damage. But apparently, Elazer does want to shut this down before the Prism does come out. Great corrosive biles there. He will be able to shut down that one pylon with relative ease. Still, though, that's a lot of shield batteries. Once again, another pylon is taking a lot of damage as well. That will shut down some of these static defenses. The War Prism, though, is already being a very big nuisance here too. It's just simply picking up whatever Zerg unit it can. Great target firing there by Goblin, and he's even gonna use the War Prism right there to get some of those shields back up and running. The shield batteries, though, they are still underpowered or unpowered right now. There's no more probe available here, so that is gonna make this a little difficult. Base or baiting those corrosive biles right there. But I think eventually, Elazer is gonna be able to shut this one down. Very, very tight control there by him, though. Right, he pushed right seconds before the prism came out, and he must have crossed his fingers and hoped that there were only a couple of pylons here, because if there was one more, right, this would have been significantly harder for the Zerg player to break. Still though, Goblin showing us how good he is. He's just simply going to continue microing, and at the same time, on the other side of the map, we see 4 more gateways right now coming up. So this is the classic Protoss build, right? When your first all-in fails, just go ahead and all in once again. And this time around, it's gonna be that cannon rush into robotics facility, into war prism, and then eventually, ooh, the roach running for its life, but then eventually, of course, the 4-gate as well. Now, the dirty thing, obviously, about the prism is that the Protoss units will always be regenerating their shields while inside of it as well, and that's what makes that micro so very potent. Still, though, there's not a lot of defense right here for the Protoss. I love this warp in here on the sentries, right? Gotta keep in mind, this main base of Protoss, as well as the main base of Zerg, they will start running low on resources in about like 4 minutes. So both players here are 100% on a timer. Now, Elazer is actually mining right now off of his opponent's natural. Great corrosive, or great force field right there, actually. Trapping a couple of these Ravagers, although there's not really enough damage out just yet. Once again, though, the pickup here is just in a nick of time. Goblin is gonna now be forced to deal with some Zerglings. Looks like the Ravagers are just a little bit too thick to be able to make their way inside of the opponent's main base. The Immortal is gonna try and hold the front door for the time being. It did eat a corrosive bile there. But the Zerglings are eventually going to be dealt with. But now, of course, with one of those structures down as well. I think that was the gateway. Actually, was that the Cybercore? Oh, he already did make another Cybercore. I was going to say he's warping in Stalkers. But now with the Cybercore gone right there at the front, while the Ravagers can enter, apparently there's just a little bit too much here. And this is the scary part, right? With good control, you can chase down these Ravagers with relative ease. Now, there's a Spire on their way as well. So Elazer is banking on the fact that he's going to be able to get a couple of mutas out here. And keep in mind, there's really not a whole lot of anti-air here available for our Protoss player. Of course, he can warp in a couple of Stalkers. The drones, by the way, were picked off over here as well. But the Stalkers, they are going to be pretty okay, but they don't have Blink. They're going to have a very hard time actually chasing down any of these mutas that will likely be coming out here in just a little bit. Gotta be careful, though. Losing that Immortal would basically be game over, but the control here of Goblin is very, very good. Alright, so units lost. And this is where that Protoss army shines. On one base, economy, Protoss is awfully efficient. Look at the amount of stuff that has been lost right here by the Zerg compared to how much the Protoss has lost. Now, an expansion will eventually be created here as well by Elazer. He's going to finish up that hatchery here in just a little bit. But the Spire is now out, and I think that Elazer can start producing, I guess, like 6 or 7 or so mutas here in just a second. That's actually a very scary amount. Oh, man. Oh, man. These Ravagers, though, you cannot lose those. They are very expensive. Apparently, they do manage to get another Stalker right there, just on the brink of defeat. Elazer, though, while he did get himself that hatchery, I mean, now he's forced to deal with a really significant Protoss army. Yeah, okay, Goblin is gonna start hitting away at that hatchery. I was wondering, maybe you should just bypass and try to get into the main base. Look like that's exactly the plan right now. Great pickup once again. Those corrosive biles not dealing any damage. Now the mutas are showing themselves as well, and I think this is a phenomenal position here for our Protoss player, although he is losing a lot in the meantime at home as well to a couple of Zerglings that made their way across the map. The main base of the Protoss right now is mostly being evacuated. A couple of probes are apparently huddling right here, creating that service area, so the Zerglings cannot actually touch the photon cannon. At the same time, actually, the main base of the Zerg is being completely smashed. The mutas now instead are gonna go for the counterattack. There's a couple of them flying across, but they are gonna have a very hard time trying to shut down that photon cannon. Is there gonna be enough? Mass recall right now being forced on a couple of these Protoss units. Half the Protoss army will be left on the other side of the map as well. Was this actually enough, though? Because a few of these Stalkers are being picked up for practically free, and I think that does mean Goblin is gonna lose his main base as well. These mutas, they are dealing the damage, but at the same time, there's no more mining here on the other side of the map. Elazer, he's got one drone. One drone and a dream, but not enough minerals to create another hatchery. Man, this is only game number 1. This is starting to become absolutely ridiculous. The Mutas, though, being microed beautifully. He's trying to move them backwards and trying to drain the energy out of the shield battery. Goblin, though, he did end up losing his main nexus, and that means that all of these proto structures are gonna be revealed right now. Goblin's still picking up as much as he can. He did also destroy all of his opponent's hatcheries here, too. Oh, man, all of the probes, though, they're being chased down. These probes, they don't have enough minerals for a nexus anyway, but they will all be picked off, and that means 0 workers remain on the side of our Protoss player. Still, this is a scary army. As long as these stalkers manage to get into this little nuke and they get healed up by the shield battery, I think there is still a chance. Right? There's also that sentry, of course, with the Guardian shield that can 100% turn the tide of battle. This is gonna be a weird situation. Okay, I love this. Elazer actually target firing down the pylons immediately, and that does, of course, allow him to shut down right now that shield battery as well. But even though these stalkers don't have blink, they have a warp prism. With good micro, they essentially all do have blink. Alright, all of a sudden the Immortal is the most pointless unit here. Ooh, I love this! Using the Warp Prism to power the shield battery once again. Elazer trying to... Man, this is a bit of a... Could this be a draw, actually? Because I don't think that Zerg is going to be able to kill all of these structures. And likewise, Protoss is not going to be able to move across here either to try and kill these structures. There's still a couple of Zerglings out, which are actually really important here, because if like 2 Zealots would make their way across, they could try and start slicing away at all of these 3 remaining structures. If Protoss manages to get the kill on those 3, that's gonna be game over. So there's 1 Creep Tumor as well, but that one does not count. There's 5 gateways remaining, soon to be 4 only. There we go. Every single unit counts so much right now. Now, Mutas have this thing where they heal out of combat really, really quickly. So they're going to be at full HP really, really rapidly. That could come into play right here as well. But there's really no point in this match where... Yeah, this might be a draw, right? I don't really see exactly how this one is going to be happening. Look at the micro here. Goblin is going to be able to keep that up for a really, really long time. Elazer, though, he's still going to start shooting away here at these warp gates. Trying to use the bounce attacks right now to connect to some of these stalkers as well. The shield battery is right now out of energy. Ooh, 1 Muta almost going down there. But neither player really achieving all too much. I think this has to be a draw. This is the weirdest... Yeah, this is the weirdest draw that I've ever seen. Normally draws are forced differently, right? Where like Terran lifts up a building or whatever. This is not the kind of... Man, I have not seen draws in like... When's the last draw video I uploaded? It must have been like a year ago at this point. Maybe a little less, but... Draws in ZVZ or in ZVP are extremely uncommon. Yeah, Elazer, he does have that 1 drone still, but like... You know, it's just hugging a Vespian Geyser there just in case he needs to, like, make one. Now, obviously, these units are gonna bleed out. That's actually a big deal. These units, or these structures, rather, are not anymore powered by any of the creeps, so they are gonna bleed out. That means that the only structure that needs to be killed here by Goblin is that extractor. It's not gonna happen. Oh, man. Game number 1 is actually a draw? What the... Well, it shows as if Goblin has got the victory. Basically, there is a draw detector, I suppose, that will kick in after a little while, but you have to wait like 5 minutes or so, and I guess the pro gamers didn't want to wait for this. So apparently, in game number 1 of this best of 3 series, we have a draw? So hey, here we are once again. Best of 3 series, game number 2, technically. The score is 0-0 though. I'm pretty sure... After like playing StarCraft 2 for like 8 years, right? I'm pretty sure that the amount of draws I've seen is countable on 1 hand. I'm not even kidding. It's extremely uncommon. In particular in Zerg vs Protoss, where, you know, neither player can lift their structures. Sometimes you see it in like, you know, one of the Terran matchups, because Terrans can like, you know, lift their command center and then just like hang it over there. And if you don't have money to like create a spire or a Stargate, I mean, it's just gonna hang out right over there, right? And it happens from time to time, like very, very, very uncommon. In Zerg vs Protoss, though, I think this might be the very first time. That's ridiculous. It's literally countable on 1 hand, the amount of games where I've seen someone force a draw. It's ridiculous. Anyways, once again, Goblin. Of course, he did decide to go for the Forge once again. He's gonna try and be an absolute nuisance here. Now this time around, Elazer did get himself a drone in this little nuke, and that's gonna actually make this much harder. Goblin was planning on doing the exact same strategy. A couple of drones now forced off the line as well. He didn't see that his opponent built a Forge just yet, but I guess, yeah, he can assume, right, at this level of play, that his opponent is definitely gonna go for this aggression once more. Now, what exactly is Goblin's follow-up, I asked? I almost was gonna say, is he just gonna, like, make a nexus on the low ground? No. Instead, he creates the full wall right here at the top of that ramp. This is a full wall, by the way. He's gonna once again create... I think he's just gonna, like, do the same push, but from a little bit more distance. And funnily enough, I've seen it work many, many times. I've seen it work many, many times. So, yeah. Here we go. Elazer is gonna once again be forced to deal with a Protoss who's playing just a little bit more aggressive. Now, he's gonna figure out that this probe is up to no good. He will now see that there is once again a photon cannon coming up, as well as a gateway. Now, he did already make a gateway over at home as well, so I guess he's gonna plan on, like, planting down the cyber core in this area. It's a bit of a safer location. There we go. That's gonna make it much harder. This time around, there is no drone out on the map. But obviously, what this does give Elazer is more time, right? And what we saw already is that the Ravagers were very, very effective. So as long as he gets a couple of them out, as many as he possibly can, before, like, the Immortal juggling begins, right? As many as he possibly can, he should still be in a decent position, all things considered. I love the fact that he's now sending a couple of Zerglings across the map as well. They're not going to be able to pick up a cannon right now, but they are going to be able to force like a photon cannon on the high ground over here. That's going to make this push once again a little bit slower. Any second that Elazer can spare right now to get more Ravagers out is going to be one that he will likely take. So there we go. Immediately, 3 roaches will be produced. The second gas geyser will now also be fully saturated here. And Goblin, he is still going to try and advance forward. Now, I love this positioning here on the creep tumor as well. This is one of those things I get excited about, okay? That creep tumor is not in vision range right there of the photon cannon. Zerglings made their way across the map. Is there even, like, anything available? Goblin could also make an adept. Instead, he's going to actually mass recall, I guess, the one stalker to get rid of this. Yeah, I guess that will eventually work. But, I mean, that's going to once again slow this down quite a bit, right? That means one chrono boost less. And yeah, this is looking like it's going to go heavily in favor of Elazer. Elazer even now finding a location where he can put down 1 or 2 of those Ravagers to start raining the bios. And this is just really well done so far here by our Protoss. Now, don't forget, the Immortal will come out. There's no way that this push will be halted before the Immortal is out. The Prism will definitely come up after it as well. Goblin is putting down more cannons, or rather more shield batteries here. He's not going to fall into the same trap once again, but still, the amount of damage that these bios are dealing, and now in combination with the queens as well, is definitely remarkable. A lot of Zerglings coming up as well, a couple of reinforcing roaches too, but the Immortal is out, and that's apparently enough to force Elazer back here for the time being. I've seen so many Zerg players lose at this position though. Even though their early game was really, really solid, and they've gotten into a wonderful position, the amount of damage you can deal with units like this is ridiculous. Now, this is great. These corrosive biles are definitely going to be able to shut down one of these pylons once again. Another pylon did get killed as well, and I think that is going to be all she wrote here for the aggression for now. Another pylon will be created. Great transfuse there, just barely in a nick of time, but yeah, Goblin realizes that as well, and Elazer is going to be able to pick up the victory in game number 2, I suppose? Alrighty. So here we go, game number 3 in this best of 3 series that could potentially be going to game number 4. Just don't talk about it, it's just a little confusing. We are now on Cerulean Fall LE. Now, I'm curious, what is Goblin gonna do? Do you think he's gonna get aggressive once more? Pile on the low ground. Likely gotta follow it up with a gateway, although this is what Haas likes to do too. I haven't seen a lot of games of Haas yet in the new multiplayer balance patch. Obviously, Haas is a Taiwanese Protoss player, and he basically made it really, really far into the WCS events in 2018, even making it to the grand finals and giving Serral a run for his money, displaying these kind of strategies over and over and over again. And I don't know if Goblin was already playing this kind of playstyle, you know, back then as well. I mean, he's 16 years old, right? He must have been playing StarCraft for a while, but still, like, I can imagine that he may have been inspired by the strategies that that Haas was playing, and he's been taking the strats and then he's been putting his own twist on it as well. Anyways, I'm curious to see if Goblin is once again gonna get aggressive, because if he makes a Forge right now, this is what Haas does. There we go, Forge does go down. That's gonna allow you to get the Immortal out way faster. As long as he prevents the natural from finishing, he's gonna be in a phenomenal spot. Now he's gonna rally through the mineral line there. Cheeky little move, even gonna steal some minerals too. Ugh, the bastard probe. Being an absolute nuisance, as well as a thief. He's just gonna be able to do this once more. And it's so difficult right now for Elazer. Oh man, he doesn't even see it. He is gonna send the overload back, but he doesn't even know if this is a fake, right? Like, if you do have that, like, reputation of cheesing a lot. Oh man, the Immortal, or the Overlord once again turned back around. If you have the reputation of cheesing a lot, sometimes players will 100% overreact. Well, right now, Elazer knows what's up. He sees the Photon Cannon. He's going to be able to start up a Spine Crawler right here as well. That's 3 Photons and a Pylon coming up here. Elazer is going to set up a couple of Spiny boys here as well, but this is already a really rough position. The thing is, these Photon Cannons can shoot towards the high ground as long as the probe, or for example, a Pylon over here, gives that high ground vision. And now that the Photon Cannons are down, right, they are already out before the Spine Crawlers are, this is going to be a very difficult position for Protoss to play from. He's now also going to follow it up with a Nexus, and this is where he gets really scary, because even if he manages to just kill the hatchery, right, that's going to be 2 base Protoss versus 1 base Zerg. And that's never a situation that a Zerg player wants to be in. Love it or hate it, guys. This is the kind of strategies that are being played right now at the pro level. It's very rough. It's very dirty. But I personally am a big fan. I think it's... Oh man, it's so rough to play against. Hatchery does fall. Nexus is coming up. Zerglings are going in for the counterattack. Now, Zealot... It will come out just barely in the nick of time. The probe did construct a pylon there to complete the full wall of. Apparently the probe right now is giving the high ground vision that these units do need. I guess the queen is eventually... Man, the queen is super low though. If that queen dies, he can still try and continue pushing onwards. The Stargate is being built now too. That one is going to be in a natural. So Goblin is not going to go for the Immortal juggling this time around. And Elazer... going for what looks to be like an expansion of shame. He is going to be able to create another hatchery, this time around at the 3rd base location. And then eventually, once again, another one back to where his natural used to be. Alright, so let's take up inventory of where this game is at. Goblin, he took firm control of the early game, but does he have that great of an eco right now? In a macro game, I am 9 times out of 10, like a straight up macro game, I'm gonna give 9 times out of 10 Elazer the upper hand. However, this match, Elazer has been matched, or he's been messed with a lot here in the early game. He's been beaten, and while he hasn't been killed yet, this is a rough position for him to play from. He does have definitely a solid economy. I mean, worker-wise, he's got a lot of units, but Goblin is going to be left to his own devices right now because... Oh man, this is actually a supply block here. Wow. Here I am, complimenting Goblin's play, saying he's good at macro, and he hits a supply block. Anyways, there's no denying that Goblin is right now going to be the one who once again is the... he's the next player to make a move in this game once more, right? And that's where Protoss players are really scary, when they get to decide the early game and then mostly the mid game here as well. Because Goblin can take this in definitely several different directions. A 2nd Stargate is coming up. I'm curious to see if he's going to plan on taking a 3rd Nexus here as well. There's not going to be a lot here for our Zerg player to deal with that. He did get himself Metabolic Boost, so he could make a round of Zerglings, but every single Zerg unit is very valuable right now. Interestingly enough, we do see now that Void Ray coming out. There's even a 3rd Stargate. Wow. So a 3 Stargate opener here after the cheese from Goblin. This could just be Mass Void Ray, which is a very popular strategy in Silver League in particular. Wouldn't imagine it's going to be very popular at like High Grandmaster, but... Another option would be Mass Phoenixes. We saw double Stargate Phoenix quite a bit with a 3rd base follow-up as well. But it does look like Goblin, yeah, he's going to start producing some of them right now, as well as go for the the flyer attack upgrades, it does look like he's going to transition towards that really big Stargate-based force. Is he really going to start producing 3 Phoenixes at once? So, here's the thing about 2 Stargate Phoenix. It is almost always guaranteed to deal economic damage. What Protoss normally follows the double Stargate up with, though, is a 3rd Nexus. In this case, we don't see a 3rd Nexus, but instead we see another Stargate being added on as well. This is like Goblin trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat, and it does look like he's going to be able to for the time being. I mean, Queens are nice against double Stargate Phoenix. Okay, I love the fact that he's getting a Spire right now as well. I think Corruptors are going to be the way to go against this. But without enough static defense, right? You're just not going to be able to hold the Phoenixes at bay. If all of a sudden, like, 10 Phoenixes swoop in, they will be able to lift up all of these Queens and just kill them one by one. This is a lot of Phoenixes already. There are finally a couple of Spores coming up, but I don't know if it's going to be enough just yet. Also, +1 flyer weapons will finish up in just a little bit. Phoenixes actually get +2 damage for every hit, or I guess they shoot 2 hits at once. Man, this is going to be a rough army to beat. Well, that's 1 Phoenix, though, being picked off there. And Elazer is going to be the one who will be able to shoot his army away from for the time being. So, he's getting himself a couple more Overlords. He's got 68 workers, which is a legitimately good amount. He's trying to get a 4th base, but that's not going to happen. He's going to need something more sustainable to deal with this, but the Queens for now will be enough, right? I mean, he's still producing more of them. There's now even a Twilight Council and 4 gateways being added on as well. So Goblin, he's never going to make an expansion. And I love the scouting here from Elazer, right? He knows that there's no 3rd base. He knows this is going to be mostly an all-in, but here we go. A lot of transfuse available. Beautiful hold so far by Elazer, using the Queens here, not to spread a lot of tumors around, but instead for them to get their transfuses ready to heal up any Queens that will be picked up as well. Corruptors are now coming up, 6 of them as well. Obviously, Elazer can produce many, many more units, but this hurts. This is what I was talking about. This is when the amount of damage can ramp up really quickly and when Phoenixes are almost guaranteed to deal the damage as well, right? This is going to be, I think, 3 Overlords here. There you go, super quickly. And then 10 drones as well. 4 Overlords even. Ugh. That's the kind of damage that that Goblin is looking for right now. At the same time, Void Rays are just trying to kill the spawning pool right now. I can imagine they are mostly doing so to try and like prevent the Queen production from happening. Another base will be taken here as well. The Void Ray in the main did get shut down, and the second one will be picked off as well. Goblin did decide to grab a 3rd Nexus here after all. So what exactly is Elazer thinking right now, right? Like, what exactly are you thinking right now if you're Zerg? How many drones do you make and how much army do you get away with? Because Queens, while they are excellent, they're not very good at pushing across the map until the Queens are able to put their creep tumors all the way to the other side as well. Looks like that is actually the case right now for Elazer. He is planning to use some of those Queens in the aggression as well. He's gonna go full-on Queen Corruptor. Getting the Carapace upgrade as well, I love that. That's gonna make these Phoenixes quite a bit weaker against them too, but keep in mind, Phoenixes can fire and shoot at the same time. So once they do get a favorable engagement, they're gonna be able to fight these Corruptors for a really long time as well. Still though, there is a lot of... Oh man, that's a lot of Phoenixes. That's a lot of Phoenixes. I was gonna say that's a lot of Corruptors, but the Phoenixes seem to be able to kill them very rapidly. I did see a Fleet Beacon, right? Yeah. So Fleet Beacon did finish up. He could go for the Pulse Crystals upgrade, which gives +2 range right here to all of those Phoenixes, which actually makes them far more scary against Corruptors in particular. But still though, oh man, the Zealots are here. They do have charge available. The Corruptors are gonna try and intercept these units as well, but that's a lot of dead Queens already. The Zealots are gonna charge forward, and I guess now there are... I mean, quite a lot of Corruptors, but is it gonna be enough to shoo away these Phoenixes? It does look like that will be the case. Still, a lot of dead Queens here too. How many was that? 9 in total so far this game. And once again, the cost efficiency of this Protoss player is very, very clear. Still, Elazer has been macroing very hard. He's got 4 bases up and running. And while he did lose a couple drones here in the process, he's now also happily mining a lot of those mineral patches. He's now using those Corruptors as well, now that he's got superior numbers, to puke all over this Nexus. That's the first one being picked off very easily, because he's looking like he wants to head towards the main base as well. The Phoenixes trying to deal a little bit of damage as well. Looks like they managed to pick up all of the drones over at the 4th base, and now they're gonna start Overlord hunting as well. There's only a single Spore Crawler here available for the time being, so that does mean that a lot of this Zerg army will be supply blocked. I mean, eventually more spores will finish. One Corruptor inside of the main is gonna start puking away right here over that Nexus as well. Couple of Zealots, though, managed to pick up a lot of Zergling kills there too, and I think, man, this is starting to be so painful. I think that Elazer is going to be supply blocked for quite a little while as well. Look at the amount of Overlords being killed. That's a ridiculous amount of Overlords, to be honest. How many? 26 Overlords! 27 Overlords right now being killed in this game in total. Still, though, more and more damage being dealt here by the Corruptors. Who would have guessed that Corruptors are the ones that are the scary unit right now? One Sentry desperately trying to hold the front door. Corruptors, though, very tanky, in particular with the armor upgrades. They're not going to go down anytime soon. More and more Overlords are falling. Man, he is on an Overlord hunting mission. I don't think I've seen a game where we see 32 Overlords being killed by the 12-minute mark. That's ridiculous. There's 6 Overlords right now coming up. Goblin, though, he's the one who's been... He's the one who's actually been macroing right now, right? Like, he's got a lot of resources. Right now, he's still got a lot of those Phoenixes remaining as well. He did get the Pulse Crystals upgrade, so that means these Phoenixes now have the beautiful pink shots. They're going to be able to deal with these Corruptors from a lot of range. I think all he needs to do right now is get a lot of Zealots going and move them across the map. What exactly is Protoss going to be able to do against that? There we go. The Zealots are going to charge forward. There's a couple of Banelings now morphing up, which I really, really like. 12 in total. That is the ideal unit to deal with clumps of Zealots right now. But still, the Zealots are slicing and dicing away. One of them made its way towards the 3rd as well. That one looks like it will be killed. Great splits there as well, though, by Goblin. And while the Phoenixes are once again moving across the map, it looks like the Corruptors are also on their way home. And with those splits, right... Elazer was not able to get the proper connections there on those Zealots. The Zealots are still being a nuisance. A lot of that Zerg army is tied up in Corruptors. They cannot shoot down. And Goblin does pick up game number 3. Alrighty. So here we are. Guys, can I say it? I think this is the very first time where I've seen a best of 3 series going to map number 4. That's just so backwards. A best of 3 series should not have 4 maps. Well, it usually doesn't. But I guess in the case of this one, apparently that is something that will be happening. So here we are. Kairos Junction LE. I really felt like that previous match was Elazer's to win. Right? That felt like a super clean game here by our Zerg player. He had all of those queens out, but then they decided to move across the map. He did not expect those like 12 Zealots to come charging at the queens, and then the Phoenixes swooped in, just picked up as many of them as possible as one. I think like 9 queens fell in a matter of seconds. And that's just game ending, right? Like, that's so much damage being done. That's really when Elazer lost the edge in that game. And while his response and the way that he was playing was really good, he overextended. He did not expect those Zealots to come out. I mean, who expects 3 Stargate Phoenix to be followed up with 4 Gateway Zealot off of 2 base? Maybe the 3rd Nexus was down actually by that point, but I mean, it's such a rough game to lose as well. So I wonder how Elazer feels after that match. But regardless, here we are. Game number 4. Map number 4. Once again, a forge is coming up. Alright, so this is what Goblin tried to do in the previous match as well. Did not really happen. This time around, Elazer will be able to figure out that this is going on. Well, I guess it did happen in the previous game, although usually whenever I look at this, when you go for the gateway this early on, it also indicates that you want to follow it up with like a really quick robotics facilities to start dealing the damage. And while I guess he did manage to kill his opponent's natural, I kind of expected him to start the immortal juggling in that game too. Didn't really happen, obviously, but he did manage to deal a tremendous amount of damage there in the end. Anyways, we'll see where he's gonna follow this up in game number 4. There's not a cyber core just yet, so it's mostly just gonna be photon cannons, I think. Elazer going for a hefty amount of spine crawlers, using all of his minerals right now to get as many of those pokey boys as he can. Apparently, Goblin is going to do the same thing. Already getting himself a lot of those photon cannons too. And while a lot of these are going to be in range of the hatchery, the spines are going to have to uproot in order to actually start dealing the damage. There's a couple of Zerglings here available as well as one Queen. That hatchery is going to fall, isn't it? How are you going to defend that hatchery? Do you really want to go right now? That seems like a risk. That seems like a risk. He's going to have to give up the natural, right? That's going to hurt so much. At the same time, though, once again, that one probe here on the low ground that is going to be able to construct that pylon just barely in the nick of time. The spine crawlers did finish, but they did not quite get the damage in just yet before the hatchery fell. Elazer is going to start rooting those once again, engaging right now with the Zerglings as well as that Queen, and the Zealot does manage to hold the line for now. But once again, this is a very similar situation. While he did not follow it up with the Immortal Juggling, he's once more 2 base against 1 base Zerg. And from here on out, you can start playing that macro game. You can start playing the game that Protosses love. Except you're at a really, really massive advantage. I mean, he's got all of the tech in the world. This time around, it's not going to be a Stargate. It's not going to be a Robo. It's going to be a Twilight Council instead. And he can basically do whatever he likes. He can go Blink Stalker. He can go Glaive to Depths. He can go Charge Lots. He can go Dark Templar. He can go Archon Drops. He can decide wherever he wants to take this game right now, and there's nothing that Zerg can do, because so much money is tied up in a couple of these Pokeboys that aren't really gonna achieve very much. Man, if you're a Protoss player and you're not feeling inspired by this, because maybe you feel like you're quote-unquote better than that, right? You should be inspired by this. This is such a sick way of playing ZVP. It is extremely frustrating for a Zerg to deal with. And if you are good at it, and maybe your normal game is macro, right? You can take control of the matchup. You can take control of the game from start to finish. You can be the one that gets to decide where it all goes. Beautiful game so far by Goblin. I love this kind of stuff. So apparently his weapon of choice is going to be the Glaive to Depths. Robotics facility coming up as well. This could easily be 8 gateways here in total. So what you can do with Glaive to Depths is just simply shade past all of these spine crawlers, get into the main base and deal a stupid amount of damage. And look, Elazer, completely in the blind. He saw that there was one Stalker, he saw that there was one Phoenix, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna be Dark Templar. That does not mean it's not gonna be Stargate. So he's still forced to get a couple of these Spore Crawlers out, desperately trying to get a Queen out right now as well, and getting a couple of drones here and there. But Goblin, worker-wise is ahead, tech-wise is ahead, and economy, he's looking good. He's really, really looking solid here. So, where exactly are you gonna go from here if you are Protoss? Well, you know what? I wouldn't mind it whatsoever if he makes a bunch of gateways and moves across. So this is gonna be 5 gateways here in total. I wouldn't mind it if he gets 3 more. Just take him. Just go and take 3 more gateways, get the War Prism out, and go full aggression. Just start taking care, there we go, of as much as possible. So that's gonna be 7 gateways here in total, a very hefty amount. Elazer trying to sort of take the 3rd base, but he's gonna have to deal with a lot of adepts here. They do have their attack speed upgrade, and that attack speed upgrade makes it so that they make short work of Zerglings and drones in particular. Is there enough right now for Elazer to deal with this? There's no roaches. There's no banelings. There's not a whole lot here for him whatsoever. Alright, so here we go. If they get more than 1 shade off, usually adepts are gonna be able to get value. So 1 shade in, and then 1 shade up. If he manages to get that 2nd shade, he's gonna be in a great spot. There's still a lot of spine crawlers here near the front. Big warp in of adepts once again. Looks like he's not gonna warp into the main base just yet. Instead, he's just gonna go for 1 big frontal assault. Now, obviously, they can be headed into the main. They can also just go for the natural, but no, they are gonna shade up. And what exactly are you gonna do against 15 adepts that are just to be followed up with a whole lot more as well? Not a lot of drones were killed just yet, but here we go. 2nd shade being activated. It's gonna head towards the natural. The drones will be forced off the mineral line. Right now, a big warp in inside of the main base will distract those queens as well. The mining time of the Zerg is absolutely massacred. And Goblin manages to pick up a victory against one of the greatest Zerg players known as Elazer. What a series. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notifications as soon as I upload more. I now also have new merchandise available, so you can head on over to www.lowko.tv/merch in case you're interested, and a special shout out to the Patreon supporters as well for all of your generosity. For now though, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.